It's, um,
Just a heads up, we're recording the meeting and the recording just started. If anyone has a problem with that, please let us know. But we record this to record the meeting minutes and notes. And welcome to our meeting. We're going to start very shortly. Thank you.
Tracy, what
The trustees do.
oh, I was gonna say. For all of our meetings. First. Where? Oh. Oh, she has.
Oh, okay.
It's a good idea because, again, folks. You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Funny, every time I go see my hairdresser, she wants me to bring it back on ice, so she goes to ice now. No, she just. I don't, she wants, I don't do it, so I just know that she's like. I was hollering before they could hear me, so. But can I just, if I just.
After the trustees meetings, it was muffled eventually.
Okay. Can everybody online hear me?
No.
No?
No.
Here, is that?
Oh, sorry. I thought I was on mute. I was saying sort of silently no to myself. It's a little weak. I'm not hearing so well, but kind of hearing.
Okay, I'm putting a microphone by myself, but I'm not gonna hold it, so, yeah, I don't, since you're not on the camera, just blurt it out if you can't hear me.
It's good for now. I think just like it comes in and out, but I think for now it sounds okay. This is Adelmi's.
Okay, thank you. If that changes, just let us know. Yeah,
And thank you for asking.
Thank you for asking.
All right, well, everybody, welcome to lovely San Diego, and for those of you on camera, you're missing a prettier day today than it was yesterday. It's good to see everybody in person. So I just want to give a very brief report, but I do want to start, as I did in the materials that you have, by really just acknowledging the travesty of what happened in LA. And is continuing to affect people really statewide, because as we heard from Dean Fagman, we have students whose families, may have lost their family homes, we have people, who may not be living in LA, but they've got friends and family who have suffered. So I guess I would just like to encourage people to try to take this opportunity to realize that in times of trauma, moments of joy and appreciation at how much communities can come together to help. And as lawyers, we are really uniquely situated to help people. And there are a lot of opportunities currently and will be coming in the future. So for example, just navigating FEMA forms is really, really, really difficult. And especially for people who are not as highly educated as we all are. So if you haven't in your heart to look at ways to give back to the members of our state, I encourage you all to do that. So thank you. The other thing is Spring Week is coming up. So yes, yay. April 3rd through the 5th. Did I get it right? 3rd through the 5th. There are some great activities. You can come to one or all of them. Please do. I encourage you to RSVP, to come by the campus. If you haven't been in a while, as you know, it is remarkably beautiful now. Yeah, it's a good opportunity to reconnect and, just get reinvigorated about the college. So try to all do that. And then to report on the dissolution. So I have not gotten any final certificate of dissolution, but my understanding from the lawyers, let me just shout out, thank you again to Barbie for getting us these amazing lawyers. They have, well, Barbie handed me a package wrapped in a nice bow for me to handle. So thank you for that. Since I have become president, these lawyers are amazing, and they did all this work pro bono, and they have been just really helping me navigate through the final steps. So all of the paperwork was submitted by the 31st, and so we are done. I don't have the certificate in my hands, but we are done. So congratulations to everybody on that. Yeah. It's a big relief, right? As we know from Barbie last year, for those of you who are new governors, you may not know, but we as governors were at some risk for years of non-compliance before we maybe even became governors. So it's really good to have this in our rearview mirror now. So thank you for that. And as we discussed at our last meeting, as part of the reorganization into an advisory board, we sort of reconfigured our officers, and the officer terms for Kathy and me is going to be 2 years for now. But we also want to really re-emphasize your roles as governors, and we're really going to start taking this serious. And then to be a governor means that you're making some commitments, and that's commitments to attend the meetings. There are only 3 a year, and obviously things come up. There's emergencies and things come up, but to attend the 3 meetings a year, to make your financial contribution. It's only $1,000, but that needs to be done. And then to participate in at least one of the activities that we organize. And so in setting forth those expectations, I just wanted to be very clear what our expectations are going forward, and that we're going to be routinely following up. So we have shrunk our board now that we are not a 501c3. We are an advisory board. We have shrunk our board. We've asked people if they are not interested in meeting those commitments, if they'd like to step down. And so we have reduced our board. We now have 29 governors. 29, is that right? Might be 28, 29. Down from about 39, I believe, at our height. So, which is a nice number, because 29 means everybody has some work that they can do to participate and give back, but it's of course not overwhelming, and it's not a really big time commitment. So, so that is all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me. Anything? Yeah, Leo.
I was going to say, both you and Barbie deserve a huge amount of credit for the work you did and getting the governors back into compliance. We're sort of facing a parallel effort of the trustees, and I know how much work you did, and both of you deserve a huge amount of credit.
Well, thank you. Did everybody online hear that? And that was Leo, and yeah, from her. So Leo was just giving a big shout out to Barbie and to me, but I'm going to be honest, it's mostly Barbie for the work in transitioning. And the Board of Trustees is also facing some organizational issues right now, and it really is It is a lot of work, but it's important. I mean, we are lawyers and we are a lawyer advisory board, and so we should be complying with the law. So, and now we are, which is a good thing. So thank you, Leah. Yeah. All right, so let's see, am I supposed to do approval of the minutes? Okay. So if everybody had a chance to look at the minutes, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Kathy moved, Leo seconded, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Terrific, okay, they have passed. Oh, are there any extensions? Kathy's better at this than I am. Are there any abstentions? Okay. Terrific. All right, so I'm now going to turn it over. Hannah, how do you want me to do this? Do you want me to turn it to you to turn to the various people? Okay, I'll just turn it to the next person. Okay, we are going to have Simone, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Libon?
So close. Simone Lee Van Levine.
And I'm sorry, Levine is the director of the pro bono program to give us a presentation next. Thank you, Simone.
Hi, everybody. My name is Simone Lee Van Levine. As was said, I'm the director of the pro bono program at UC Law SF. I've been in this role. This is now my second year, and I am constantly looking for opportunities to involve alumni and to expand the program. So I wanted to come and just give a very quick, it's not going to take the full 10 minutes, just a quick pitch for two options to get involved. One is to provide pro bono support through, we have an LA Fire pro bono listserv that I've started. This is primarily for people who want to do remote work from their respective homes or people who are already in Los Angeles. As might be apparent to a lot of you, the housing situation in Los Angeles is pretty non-flexible right now. So the idea of sending folks to perform service work in Los Angeles is pretty frowned upon by the folks who are already there. I've spoken with the pro bono heads at places like Pepperdine and UCLA, and even as far as UC Irvine and USC. And I said, you know, we have a bunch of students who want to do work. Is there any need for them to come down, or is there any need for them to perform remote work? And at this point, they're still figuring out what the lay of the land is. And it would be pretty difficult to send students down to do work over spring break or else at another time, just because there's a lot of price gouging, and hotels are really needed for folks who are displaced already. So unless folks are already physically in LA, the work would mainly be remote. But I'm generally looking for attorneys who are interested in performing pro bono work themselves in disaster relief, whatever that looks like for you. If you have a practice doing, you know, something related to insurance or something related to housing or employment, we would love to rely on your expertise rather than reinvent the wheel or retrain you. But if you are interested in learning a new area of law and want to use pro bono as an avenue into that, that is also absolutely an option. And then the second opportunity to be involved with the pro bono program is as a supervisor for law students or otherwise as a mentor for law students. If you have a specific pro bono practice, or if you are working at a nonprofit or in a government agency that does work in a specific field that you think students would be interested in learning more about, please do reach out to me. I'm going to put the form for the listserv, and I'm going to put my email in the chat right now. And let me just separate that out so that you can click the form and then also copy over my email. It's my last name and my first name at uclawsf.edu. Was there a question?
Sorry, Simone, it's Kelly. Can you say it again? Because for those of us, at least for those of us who have bad eyes, I can't see that on the chat.
Absolutely, yes. So, okay, it's going to be included in the post-meeting materials, but it's Levine Simone at uclawsf.edu, LevineSimone at uclawsf.edu. So this is just an opportunity for folks to get involved. Supervising students, if you work for a nonprofit or a government agency, or if you take pro bono cases at your firm, then I would love to place students with you. Having students work with UC Law SF alums is a really great opportunity for, yes, networking, but also just general mentorship in the field to know how far alums can go, where they can live, what kinds of work they can do. It's a really great opportunity for students to learn more about what they can do with the JD. So please feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in any kind of mentorship or supervising of students, or please fill out the form that I sent if you're interested in being included on our listserv for pro bono related to the LA fires. Thank you.
Thank you. That is terrific. And Simone, I'm gonna email you offline too, because I think that there are ways we can promote your programs broader than the UC Los San Francisco community.
That would be fantastic. And anything related to social justice work as well, more broadly, rather than solely pro bono work. The pro bono program is housed within the Center for Social Justice, both physically and, in terms of the hierarchy on campus. So I have some contacts in those arenas if you ever want to be put in touch with anybody, or if you'd like to serve as a mentor or provide feedback to the Center for Social Justice.
That's terrific. Thank you. Thank you for that. Simone, for those of us who don't know, how long has this been a program at the college?
So the Center for Social Justice, this is, I believe, our third year. We just got a physical space that we launched this fall. It is right as you walk into 200 McAllister. It's right off the lobby. It's where Lex Lab used to be, or before that, there was where student records were. And the pro bono program has been in some form at UC Law SF for as long as anybody has been at UC Law SF. Students have been wanting to do pro bono work. It's one of my favorite things is that people tend to do pro bono for the right reasons, which is wonderful because that means that we have so many people doing volunteer work, but is also a little frustrating for me because I'm like, log your hours, please. But because they're doing it for the right reasons, they're not looking for recognition all the time. So we do have graduation honors. We have some awards. I started a 1L pro bono competition in the fall semester, and other ways to just kind of incentivize people to get involved and stay in touch with the social justice reasons they might have been first interested in the law or angry about a legal issue or inspired by the law. So the pro bono program as it currently exists, I'm the first person in this role full time for an extended period of time. There's somebody who was in this role before me who left after a couple of months. And so I think that this role has existed for around 3 years. And essentially my job duties involve overseeing the pro bono program specifically, which means training students, connecting them with pro bono opportunities, administering those opportunities, including on-campus clinics and our alternative spring break programs. This year we have 9, I believe, 8 or 9 full-time placements. So over spring break, we have groups of up to 10 students going to work with those organizations. And then several other smaller, what I'm calling like micro internships, which are just like local placements where students can just go and work with a nonprofit for part of the week. So that's essentially the history of the program. And more broadly, my role is also to facilitate social justice work more broadly and make sure that folks who are interested in social justice work, either as a full-time position or part-time, as a pro bono practice moving forward in their career, just, maintaining the values that they have in a role that is not related to those areas of law, just make sure that they have a place to go and a home and a community.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Simone? Yeah, Artie.
Hi, I just sent a note to Simone in the chat, but I just wanted to emphasize Matthew Richards, who is a 2004 alum, who was a classmate of mine. He is the one who put us in touch with his firm's pro bono team at Nixon Peabody to help us with this Board of Governors issue, the dissolution issue. But he does lead his firm's pro bono practice. So I just wanted to see whether or not you'd had a chance to reach out to him, and if not, if you needed an introduction, because
I would love an introduction. That sounds fantastic. I will admit this is probably maybe step 2 of me trying to engage in alumni outreach. The first step was really just emailing folks who had been social justice concentrators or clinic students to invite them to the launch party that we had for the Center for Social Justice space this fall. So this is really my next step. So if there's something you've thought of, chances are I have not yet done that because this is kind of my foray into this to try to build up the community and the connections with alums. So I would love a warm handoff and an introduction for Matthew Richards. Thank you so much, Barbie.
Simone, can I ask, would you be interested in us bringing to you volunteer opportunities that aren't necessarily legal? Like, for example, with the fires, I think there's going to be a lot of like rebuilding, but like physical work, right? Like maybe during the summer for students. And just so you know, one of the, I'm part of a downtown LA chapter group,
Mhm.
and our group used to do hikes in Eaton Canyon. So when the fire started, one of the first things that I actually thought about UC Law stuff because I was like, oh, like the nature center where we met for these hikes, I think it got burnt down. So stuff like that. I would love to do something like that in the future once things get more organized about like maybe there's probably going to be a lot of rebuilding stuff, but it's more physical and not necessarily legal stuff. Is that something that you would want us to bring to you for the students during the summer or spring break or something?
Yes, absolutely. So the form, I'm not expecting anybody to be clicking on it right now, but I can just tell you, the form includes for law students, are you interested in volunteering over spring break? Are you interested in volunteering in person, remotely, etc.? And then there's also indicate your interest in different forms of volunteer work. So I have it kind of broken down into pro bono, so the like substantive legal work in different fields related to the fire, related to your existing practice or a practice you're interested in learning more about. And then community service, so things like physical labor, things like staffing at a shelter for unhoused folks, like a food kitchen or something like that. And then I also have donation based, so people who are like, I really don't have time to volunteer and I can't physically go volunteer in person, but I either have the ability to donate financially or I have items that I can donate to folks who need space, who need to replace items that they lost in the fires. So yes, long-winded way of saying absolutely. Please do send me those opportunities. I would love to learn more. Thank you. Any other questions that I can answer?
Okay, all right, thanks, Simone. Very much appreciate what you're doing for the college.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I'm going to sign off, but my email is in the chat and will be included in the post-meeting materials, as is the form for the LA Fire listserv. Thank you all so much for what you do.
Thank you. All right, next we are going to turn to Jessica Lee, who is the Director of Work-Life Law for a presentation. Hi, Jessica, thank you.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm Jessica Lee, co-director of the Center for Work-Life Law. Some of you are probably more familiar with work-life law through Joan Williams, who's probably running the center at the time you were there. After 25 years, Joan passed the torch in July of last year to me and my colleague of 10 years, Liz Morris. We're now serving as co-directors, and we thought that our transition and some restructuring going on at the center would be a good time to reintroduce ourselves to you and to reintroduce the center to you as well. So I'll just tell you a little bit about work-life law and then get to part of our ask. So Work-Life Law is a research and advocacy center at the law school. We have a national reach, and our mission is to advance gender and racial equity by strengthening legal rights for pregnant people and family caregivers in both the workplace and in education. So in short, we make sure that no one needs to choose between their family and their economic security, or their reproductive health and their economic security. And we do that in a few ways. One, we advance the law through our research and advocacy. So for example, a few years ago, we wrote a groundbreaking report on discrimination against breastfeeding workers, which led to the passage of the Pump Act. The Pump Act, which now gives workplace lactation rights to millions of workers, was based on our model legislation. All of the research findings that are quoted on Capitol Hill were stemming from our report. We also had a big win last year where one of our model policies was adopted in Illinois, protecting family caregivers in Illinois from workplace discrimination. And this is one of just a handful of states that have done that. You might have heard of that actually passing in California as well. Unfortunately, it was vetoed, but we have a reach in a number of states through our advocacy and research that we're constantly engaging in. We also do legal advocacy. We filed 7 amicus briefs last year in a variety of cases to protect pregnant and caregiving workers and students. We also provide technical assistance. So we train attorneys through our attorney network. to make sure that everyone has the best representation possible and that we're setting great precedent in this area of the law. And we also train folks through partnerships. For example, we just did a webinar series on the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act with the National Employment Lawyers Association and the ACLU. We also provide guidance to enforcement agencies. You might have seen our Pregnant Workers Fairness Act regulatory comments, which were heavily relied on by the EEOC in their latest regulations on the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. And then a huge area of the work, of course, is also direct assistance. We have a helpline, and we hear from workers and students in California and across the country who need help understanding their legal rights. These are people who are fired because they shared with their boss that they were pregnant, folks who had their hours cut when someone found out that they had a disabled parent living with them and they needed to go to doctor's appointments sometimes. And we even serve students who are kicked out of student housing the second they get that positive pregnancy test. So it's a really compelling area of the law, and it's an area where there aren't a lot of people working, even to this day, constantly a surprise to me. This year, the big focus is on making sure our research supports state level rights for pregnant and caregiving workers and students. And we're also sorting through how to handle the current situation at the EEOC, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. We're studying whether we can expand our services and how we can partner with firms and attorneys in the community to do more. But to do all of that, we need guidance and we need money. And so we are currently looking for board members. We need 2 to 4 more board members to join our really esteemed crew. I'll put a link in the chat for those of you who are joining remotely, if you're curious about the company you might be keeping. We have a really diverse board so far. We have some plaintiff side attorneys like Jen Liu from Katz Banks Cumin, Julian Burns King from King and Siegel. We have folks who are leaders in the advocacy space around our issues, like Donna Benton, who runs the LA Caregiver Resource Center, Christopher Ho from Legal Aid at Work, and Jillian Thomas from the ACLU Women's Rights Program. And these board members really have been so valuable to both Liz and I as we are going through our strategic planning, figuring out the direction of the Center for Work-Life Law for the next 25 years. And especially as we're figuring all of this out while the landscape on employment and education discrimination is really shifting under our feet. So we need more expertise. We're hoping that maybe some of you on the call here, either you or someone in your network is interested in these issues. We're also looking for folks who have deep expertise in disability discrimination, and access to benefits, and of course in fundraising and communications, which are always in need. We're also looking for folks who are able to commit to donating or facilitating donations of about $10,000 each year. But if that's not possible, we're also interested in folks who can volunteer some of that in kind. So I'm hoping that you or your networks might turn up some gems here. As Simone just said, this is our first outreach to alumni. We want to make sure that the community knows what we're up to, because this is such groundbreaking work, but we often don't lift our heads up out of our computers and out of our desks to share it. So I hope that you would be willing to get the word out. And if anyone is interested in supporting the work of the center in whatever way you have capacity, I hope that you'd reach out. And I'll put my email here in the chat as well.
Thank you, Jessica. Just to confirm, is your email and the information about the board that you're looking for, is that going to be the post meeting materials? It is. Wonderful. So for those of you who didn't see our wonderful Meredith and Anna nodding, it will be in the post meeting materials. So if you're not, you get a chance to write it down. Does anybody have any questions for Jessica? Okay, hearing none. Jessica, thank you so much for what you were doing, the work-life Law Center has been a pillar for decades that I can, well, I don't know when it started, but it seems like it's been a very major influence in this area. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all you do to support the college. Really appreciate you all.
All right. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Rodolfo Estrada to talk about nomination. Okay, I see Rodolfo, thanks.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I just want to ask you all to send me your nominations for the Board of Governors. If you know of anybody who might be interested or anybody who might be a good fit, send me a quick email with their name, their email, and their telephone number if you have it, and I'll take it from there. I'll put my email in the chat in a second, but basically, we're looking for a handful of people. We actually already have a couple of nominations that have come in. And the way this works is, I think we want nominations to come in between now and March 8th. So we have like a month to get them in. Send them over to me, and then I'll meet with the committee. We'll vet them, and then at the June or July meeting that we have, we'll vote on them. But as you know, you're all Board of Governors, so you kind of know, we're like the cheerleaders for the school. You when you send me the info, let me know if the person you're referring, if you've talked to them about it. If you haven't, I'm happy to set up a call with them about it. But again, that's basically it. Just send me individuals who might be interested, individuals from your network who you think would be a good governor, and our committee will take it from there.
All right, thank you, Rodolfo. I just want to reiterate that the new advisory board guidelines are in your materials again this month. So if you could take a look at them, and as you're thinking about people who might make good governors, please take a look at that and remind yourself and discuss with anybody that you're thinking you might nominate what those pillars are and what our mission is. Because as I started to say at the beginning of the meeting, we are going to be looking for active involvement as governors going forward. And so we will be starting our fall meeting, which we will have new governors with us, with sort of a circle time of what are your commitments going to be for this coming next year. So we are always looking for good governors, and just to again reemphasize that we're looking for diverse perspectives, so people from throughout the state and from a variety of different backgrounds. All right, yes.
So on that front, do we have statistics on the board, like how many governors are from what region, what class years, like what maybe practice area, public versus private? Because it'd be nice to visualize that, and then like it would help me, like, oh, we need a governor that's like in the 80s or whatever, let's find someone that's from that year. Or we don't have enough public interest governors, let's see if we can identify some good people. I don't know, I think that might be a good way to help me at least think about good nominees.
So I hope everybody could hear that David's question was just about, okay, so we do have all that data, and I think it's a good idea. Actually, I think that Hannah and I had talked about, and I think this was on my to-do list and it probably fell off, is actually putting together a spreadsheet of all of the governors to actually circulate to each other so that we have it, so we all have each other's emails and things like that. So yes, David, I'll work with Hannah and we'll put together a spreadsheet of governors' names and the information that we have, phone numbers, emails and stuff like that, and then circulate it. So I don't know that we could say like 10% are women or whatever, but we'll have a list. And
Can I say something?
yes, please. Hannah.
Well, David, at your suggestion at the last meeting, I did create a governor portal, and I was going to talk more about it during our item, but I can just talk about it now. So we also, sure, yeah.
And maybe Stan.
I will send the information out, but we do have a portal now that includes a roster and like people's terms and things like that. And I can include that. Back when we did have committees, the nominations committee did have all that information and would take all that into consideration when vetting new governors or nominating people. But I can include that in the portal if that's something that we're all interested in seeing while we nominate people. And I'll send out the information. It's password protected, but it's through the UC Law stuff, like general website.
And I think the past couple of years we've been looking at a lot of like geographic expansion. I know that's been one of the priorities. But it's always, especially once we have the information out, we can see kind of where their gaps are. I know we're pretty, because of where we're at, we're pretty heavy with Bay Area and LA governors. But I know the last couple of years we've brought in people from out of state. There was an attempt to bring people in from like Texas and Hawaii. So we could definitely look at, maybe where there might be some gaps and try to bring in people from there.
Yeah, it's a great idea. We have so many chapters now that chapters are obviously a good place to reach out and see if anybody in a chapter or leading a chapter wants to be a governor. All right, any questions for Rodolfo? Any other questions for Rodolfo? Okay, so March 8th is coming up quickly. It's only a month, so yeah, get looking at your networks and email.
Rodolfo, I do have a question. It's Carol Hamilton. I'm just wondering, so I have someone, a colleague, a friend from law school actually, who lives in Alaska, but we used to have a requirement that one had to attend in person, X number of meetings. Now with remote, I'm not sure where we are with that. I just don't know that he would be able to attend any of the meetings in person, I guess is my question. And is there any requirement about that? Do we have a number that we request people to attend in person, or do we not anymore?
Not that I know of. I'll turn it over to Hannah to see if she maybe knows. But when I talk to people, I usually tell them that we do have several meetings over the year, and that for the most part, there's always a remote option. And I do tell people that I tell people my personal what I personally do. I tend to go to the LA ones. I don't think I've made a Bay Area one yet. And I, of course, remote, I always participate with them. But I don't think off the top of my head that I know that there's like a specific number. I know we do look at that sometimes when we look at like participation for for the governor's renewals, but I don't know if there's like a specific cutoff in terms of how many in person, because I think I personally haven't met them because of,
I don't mind adding too, if Hannah has probably some good institutional memory, because we like geographic diversity on our board. We recognize folks in like Hawaii and New York would have trouble attending any West Coast meeting. In-person attendance is nice, but it has never been a requirement.
So I love where everyone's heads are at. We are actually gonna, in our 2025 strategic programming, we plan to open a dialogue about the meetings and expectations, and we want to hear from all of you. So we will have an extended discussion time regarding this topic coming up.
Thank you, Hannah. All right, well, great. So now do we have our U-Class? Yes, we do. Our U-Class State of the Students. And I think we're going to start with Valeria Vera from this class.
Yeah.
Oh, Valeria, you're here. Sorry. I'm looking, wait, I see you.
Okay. I'm just going online actually to share a flyer with our most recent headshots, which I will be talking about, but I dropped it in the chat.
You want to come over?
So
you can be so they can see you.
I can over.
I can also turn the computer.
Thanks, Valeria.
Yes.
Just a voice off screen.
Yeah. All right. Hi everyone, my name is Valeria and I'm a 3L. I am the External Vice President for U-Class, that's the UC Law Associated Students. And I will be presenting today on behalf of myself and also Millie Wong, who is our U-Class President. She unfortunately could not be here today. So to start, we'll begin with Millie's updates. So we wrapped up Barristers in January. We had a really successful event at the Hibernia, which is right down the street from our school. So it was great to support a local business. And we have a great partnership with them. They gave us a really big discount and were super accommodating to our budget, which was nonetheless still quite pricey. But I think over 900 students attended, which is quite significant. And so what we tried last year, which worked really well, was we started with an early bird price to get people excited, limiting the number of tickets at that price. And then we ended up selling them at I think the costliest was like $90 or $95 per ticket. The cheapest was $70. We only sold like 300 tickets of those. And so in the end, with all of the expenses, I think we made like $10,000 for the next school year, which is quite fantastic. And so that'll be like a little bit of cushion of revenue for the next U-Class board next year. And then the other thing that U-Class has been working on is we just finished Diversity Week. This was this past year. We worked very closely with the Dean of DEI, Mario Lopez, and brought on amazing speakers, alumni from diverse backgrounds, but also just really important for visibility purposes, especially in the state of where we are in. And we have also worked with UCSF for discounts on their gym membership. And so now our students are able to use the UCSF gym for $50 a month, which is pretty low for San Francisco standards. And so we've been doing a lot of work for wellness and also just increasing like student morale, etc. And then let's see. Oh, also the other thing is we are ordering our U-Class merch, which was designed by UC Law SF students. We actually had a competition to see who could submit the best designs. And so we have crew necks, hoodies, and hats. And if any alum want to buy from us, all of this money, all of the proceeds go to supporting the student organizations. And finally, we've been, again, going back to wellness, we've been able to host more wellness events, in part because we worked with student services to increase the wellness funding, which we had a really big revenue of because of the pandemic, since there were no student events. And I'm not sure what the numbers were, but I think when I started my year in 2023 or 2022, we had like a $200,000 amount in the student wellness funding. And so we've slowly been chipping at that, but it's all going to wellness events, which has been really great. So on to my updates. I have made 3 major updates, which are the 6 at 6 Shark Tanks, professional headshots, and then also the professional closet. So to start, I'll start with the headshots. You can see in the chat, I have the most recent headshots that we took, and you'll see these on LinkedIn too if you connect with our students. All of the City Hall backdrops are our headshots, and so they look really nice. I will make sure to send them around for our next, the next email that goes out to the boards. But yeah, these are just really helpful for our students to, as they network. A lot of the students that get these headshots are students who identify as BIPOC, first gen, LGBT. And so for them, it's really valuable to have a really like fantastic $1 million looking headshot. And all of this has been sponsored by the trustees, specifically Scott Morris, John Kepler, and Deborah Bogarts and Aaron Poplin donated the ones for this year. But I will probably be pitching again in June for next year's board so that they have money to host more headshots. Regarding 6 at 6, I believe I mentioned last meeting that we were rebranding, and so we rebranded to Shark Tank. And it's been really successful. We've been busy with 1L recruiting events, and this semester or this year alone, so January, Hanson and David actually hosted a really cool group of people, thank you, for mini golfing. And so that was really fun. I heard really great things about it. And also Gunderson Detmer has hosted 2 others. And another alumni here locally hosted two people for brunch in San Diego during winter break. And so, I'm super appreciative, and I know the students are as well. They usually wrap up the events, send me pictures, and just tell me about how amazing meeting everyone was and how inspiring all of the folks are. And so now that 1L recruiting is pretty much over, I'm going to be reaching out to folks. I have a list. So look out for an email from me about scheduling spring break and then potentially summer and also just later in like March, April, a lot for just networking in general and mentorship opportunities. It'll be really helpful, especially since OCI is now earlier and earlier this year. I heard May, which is insane to me. We're not even done with finals in May. But I really appreciate all of you. And then also the professional closet. Thank you, Hannah, for dropping that into the chat. So this is my biggest news for today, which is that after a lot of back and forth with the administration and the alumni, Deborah Bogards, we have managed to get the green light to use a room that she donated for, which is in the student lounge, to use it for a professional closet. And so in the past, we had clothing racks in our U-Class office, which was is tiny, but also only accessible to specific U-Class members. And so now this closet is going to be open 24/7 to students, so that they can just hop in and get a blazer if it's a last minute interview, or get a tie from John Keppel's Tie Corner. I heard Charles wants to start a Charles celebratory bow tie situation. So really, I'm super excited for what is to come. I've been working with Deborah since this morning on a name. I invited her to see if she wanted to work on a naming it after her. And naturally, she chose something really fabulous. And so I'll be sharing that. And as the flyer says, we are collecting donations. Now that we've moved into this bigger space, we can host more items, but also we need a little bit of infrastructure for that. So if you have any clothing racks, or if you have cubbies or anything like that, I will gladly take them. And again, we can coordinate. Either I come to you or you come to us, whatever works. But please contact me if you have any questions, if you would like to support, if you would like to host a Shark Tank event, let me know. For those of you who are not in California, last year we had some really successful spring break ones, including Miriam hosted one in LA, and a couple people hosted New York, DC, San Diego. And so students travel for spring break. A lot of them go to Hawaii, which seems really nice. So if you're in Hawaii, please let me know. I'm sure students would love to meet with you. So I will turn it back to you. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Valeria. That was great. So I hope all of you on the Zoom got to see the pictures. And for those of us in the room, that'll be okay. So I mean, I'm sitting right here. They're fantastic. So that is a really great program. I mean, I think everybody knows how important that is. Okay, so
I have a quick question. What's the website for the student merchandise?
I will get it.
Okay, perfect.
Does anybody else have any questions for Valeria? Or about student programs? Okay. Wonderful, well, thank you.
Great job, Valeria.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Now we are going to turn it over to our amazing staff who are really all here to, I don't know if you're on the school here, but anyway, for those of you who can't see, Hannah's here, Meredith is here, Julia's here, and Charles is here. So,
And Hayden is online.
and Hayden's online. Oh, Hayden's online, sorry. Oh, yep, I see.
Okay, hi everybody online. This is Meredith Jaggard. It's so great to see you. We thought we would take the last hour of this meeting to really kind of have a State of the Union. My husband and I, every 6 months, you probably don't want to know about our dirty laundry, but we have what we call a State of the Union. And we talk about real life talks about what's going on. And I think that it's appropriate for this board, as we move to an advisory board and downsize, to really talk about where do we want to head as a board and what's important. So we have Hannah, Charles, and Hayden. He's up there on the right. Hi, Hayden. This is the Alumni Association staff to talk about what they do and how they support this board and kind of what they need from you. And then we've made a series, we meaning Hannah, made a series of slides, and they're just open discussion questions. And I really encourage you all to give us feedback and have an open and honest conversation, because that's what we're looking for. We want to shape this board to where it best serves you all and lifts up the commitment that you have to the college and the Board of Governors. So I hope that you'll spend this time really reflecting and listening. And we have such a unique opportunity right now to pave the way for people to come and for you all to get a lot out of this board. And just as a note, before I forget, Hannah and Charles, this weekend would not have happened without the two of you. Charles, you did a phenomenal job of getting everything together last night and securing this location and working with Ray. I want to thank you so much for your commitment. And Hannah, this meeting and everything with the Board of Governors would not be possible without your leadership. The two of you are absolute stars. And then Hayden, you're just a star in general. Hayden leads our annual Giving and Development Communications. The three people here are the heartbeat of this Alumni Association, and I don't want them to go unnoticed or unrecognized. So thank you all so much for your everything. All right, Hannah, kick us off.
All right, so I know I mentioned it earlier, but we have a new BOG portal that I will share the information about with all of you in the post-meeting materials, but we now have this online portal. I wanted it to be kind of a one-stop shop for all things BOG, so we'll include things like past meeting materials, recordings of past meetings, rosters, term limits, et cetera, et cetera. It'll all be there. Also things like signing up for Shark Tank, formerly 6 at 6. It has all that information. So I hope that that is a great resource for all of you, and that you see some benefit in it and learn some stuff about the Board of Governors. And then as a reminder, we have Spring Week coming up, which we're super excited about. All alumni are invited, and then the reunion years are going to be folks whose class years end in a 0 or 5. I'm super excited for City Hall, which is our all alumni party, and I'll let Charles talk about the Giants game in a moment. And then what else do I have? As a reminder, the UC Law SF online network, I will put the link in the chat in a moment. That is possibly the easiest way to really engage with the college. We have, I think, almost 2,000 folks on there. It's a mix between alumni and students. It's a great place to find current students or recent grads that you can mentor. There's a directory, so you can, if you're looking for a family law attorney in Seattle that was part of the Hastings Law Journal, you can query the directory and find that person if they exist. And yeah, so I will put the link in there. I would love if we had 100% of the governors signed up. It takes 1 minute to register. You can do it via your LinkedIn profile, so it'll just pull all the information for you. Yeah. All right, I'll pass it off to Charles now.
Thanks so much, Hannah. Wow, I need to kind of cool it down. Yeah, it was a hot mic, wasn't it? Can everybody hear me okay? Cool.
Hey everyone, I'm in the corner. You can see me over here. My name is Charles Wolin. I am the Assistant Director of Alumni Engagement. I work very closely with Hannah on our alumni chapters and affinity groups. Hannah and I meet very frequently to talk about all of our groups, which are really the lifeblood of the Alumni Association. We have 24 chapters and affinity groups all across the United States. And many of you are leaders of those groups, and we have some folks on the board of trustees that are leaders of those groups as well. We're always looking to do events with those groups and different kinds of events that are not just a happy hour or a bar stop. We want to be able to do museum tours, concerts, mini golf, art shows, those kinds of things. So if you have an idea and you'd like to move that forward, please let Hannah and I know. We can get you in contact with one of those groups. And if you know someone in an area where there might not be a group, even though we might not establish a chapter there, we want to be able to get people together under the umbrella of UC Law San Francisco. That's the idea with these groups, is just getting together under the idea of UC Law San Francisco. Harnessing your pride, harnessing your energy, harnessing the power of networking, friendship, and just being together, because you all got a degree from this school, whether it was Hastings or UC Law. So that's chapters and affinity groups. I also oversee our brand new wine program you may have heard about called the Supreme Cork. And many of you are members of the Supreme Cork. That is a very easy way to be involved with the school without actually having to donate to the school, but part of the proceeds of the wine go to the school. So you don't really need to lift too much of a finger to join the Supreme Cork. We have a 4-bottle club and a 12-bottle club, and we have 2 shipments per year. In those shipments, the wine is from alumni that actually went to UC Law. They might be a general counsel or part of the legal team at the winery, or they make the wine themselves. So our release in the fall, it's run by a very small family business. The guy actually stomps the grapes himself. He puts the labels on the bottles himself. He does everything himself. In fact, I couldn't get in touch with him a couple of months ago because he goes, "Hey, I'm in Crush right now. I can't talk to you." Okay. So we have 86 members of the Supreme Court, and we would like to get to over 100 members of the Supreme Court. That is really important to us because we see about 1% of all alumni from different schools that have the same program, because many schools have the same program. 1% of alumni subscribe to wine programs from their fellow schools. So if we can get to about 120, 125, that's probably going to be our resting place. But if you are not a member yet, you would like to join, please step up and join. We can drop the link in the chat. Very, very easy way to be involved with UC Law San Francisco. And also it's kind of fun. We do virtual tastings. We also send out exclusive notices about wine events. A couple of our trustees went to an exclusive wine event, because there are some members on that side too. And then I know there's a lot of members on this side. So I oversee the wine program. I also oversee our class agent program. And that's a very cool and unique program that was started by the trustees that our group, the Alumni Association, is now inheriting. It's a very exciting program in the sense that it's basically bread and butter. What I mean by that is, hey, you cut and paste an email that the alumni office sends, and you send it to your classmates. And they hear your voice. They don't hear Charles's voice or Hannah's voice, Meredith's voice, or Hayden's voice asking you to give or come to this event. They hear your voice. And so that's a really unique opportunity. Kelly, you are the captain for the class of 92. David, you help out with the class of 2018. Leo, who's in the room sitting next to me, the class of 78. And so we have captains placed at every single class. We're always still recruiting captains though. And the idea is if you're getting sick of sending it to your class, you can move on and we can have somebody else from your class. The idea with the program is not fundraising. The idea with that program is to send folks bullet points on what we're doing at the school. So these are bullet points about Spring Week, the Supreme Court, and various different other events. It's not necessarily fundraising emails from the class agent program. Hey, this is what's going on. Hey, you can attend this lecture. Hey, you can take a look at this book. Hey, this is what's going on campus. So that's the class agent program. And it's basically old school, hearing from folks from your class. Hey, this is Charles. Hey, this is Hannah. Hey, this is Kelly. And the last piece is I help with this.
Sorry, are there classes that you're still looking for?
Yeah, there are plenty of classes that we're still looking for. And so I'll reach out to some of y'all to see if you fit in line with those classes, but we are still trying to place some people for those classes. And the last piece is I work with the team here to help with this board, but also with our spring week, and we have our Giants game. That'll be our 4th annual Giants game. This is something that's really special to me because I love sports. We don't have a sports team at UC Law, but we are undefeated since what year, Leo? 1884, 1886 or something like that. Anyway, we don't have a sports team, and obviously the stadium in San Francisco at Oracle Park is one of the most beautiful pieces of architecture in the entire world, if not one of the best stadiums in the United States. And we rent out a specific space called Triples Alley. We've got food and drink there, and then the first 100 people, they get a hat. The first year we started this 3 years ago at Spring Week, it was 66 people, and now we're over 200 came last year. Our goal this year is around 250 or 300 if we can get there. And if you can't come to the game, no problem. You can sponsor a student for just $100. Students are going to be chosen by a random lottery system. So those are the things that I work on here at the Alumni Association. Very proud to bring those to you and create new traditions, because we don't have a ton of traditions at UC Law, but that's the idea, that's the intention. That's why we do this kind of work, is to create avenues so that you can walk down that avenue and you can meet us on the other side. You can meet other alumni on the other side. Before I go and send it over to Hayden or Meredith, Meredith just said some nice things about Hannah and myself and Hayden, but myself, Hannah, and Hayden, and I'll speak for them, we're very lucky to have the leadership of Dr. Meredith Jaggard, who helps us with ideas, innovation, thinking, questioning, creating, continuing to work hard at this Alumni Association and really make it a special place for y'all, special place of belonging, a special place you want to be. And we wouldn't be here being able to do this kind of work without her leadership and what she brings to the table and her energy. Very special person.
All right, let's pass it to Hayden Reynolds Cowan.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a great weekend down there. It's a little chillier up here in San Francisco, as typically it is. Meredith just introduced me. I'm Hayden Reynolds Cowan. I have served for just over 3 years here at UC Law SF. I'm the Assistant Director of Annual Giving and Development Communications. And while I am typically behind the scenes a bit more, you probably may not have met me in real life. You have received a piece of communication from me at some point many times throughout the year. If you receive a letter that's asking for you to support a particular fund or for the school in general, that ultimately came from me, even though it has somebody else's name on it. Emails that come through that are informational or asking about money for the school, also from me. I head up the 2 giving days, Giving Tuesday and our Raising the Bar Giving Day. I send out the holiday card, which I hope everybody likes every year. I'm primarily tasked with raising unrestricted funds for the school. So funds that the school can use wherever they need to. And that with some additions, I do support, and you'll see mail and email coming soon about the Bar Prep Support Fund. That's a way that we support our recent graduates, our newest alumni, to help support their studying for the bar so that they can sometimes not have to have a job. They can just focus completely on studying. We know that sometimes passing and failing is just a very small amount. And if we can release some financial stress from their lives, they can focus more steadily and pass. And we're happy to report, I'm sure you've heard, that our recent graduates had an 84% first time pass rate, which was 3 points ahead of that California average. And helping them with their finances absolutely helps us get to those higher numbers, which is great for everybody at the school. You know, it makes the reputation of the school even better. So that'll be coming up in March. You'll see a piece of mail and some emails supporting that, and of course, you know, any way that you can support that, which is donating, but also sharing it with your friends and family, or sharing it with your fellow alumni. That helps so much. And then coming up in April, as part of Spring Week, is our fourth annual school-related Giving Day. So we do Giving Tuesday with the rest of the world in end of November, December. But we also started a specific UC Law SF Giving Day, which has been branded Raising the Bar. And that is going to be the Thursday of Spring Week, April 3rd. And again, the way that you can best support it is to make a donation. A donation of any size helps. It's a good time to, if you have a pledge out, a good time to make your pledge payment. And the other way that you can help, the other ways you can help support it as well is sharing it with your friends and family. Say, you know, I'm helping to raise money for the school this year. Please donate if you'd like to. Share it on your social media. We recently updated to a new system that makes donating much easier. We've used it for the Spring Week signups as well. It's for our events as well. And at the end of every time you make a donation, it gives you a chance to just easily share that with your social media. So taking advantage of any of those opportunities really helps out. A couple of other ways you could help is we always appreciate, I do think that the best way to encourage alumni to donate back to the school is with the voice of other alumni who already support the school. So, you know, anytime that we're looking for testimonials about why you might give to the school, why you might support the school, I'm often looking for alumni to be the voice and faces of the appeals that I put out. So, you know, if you're interested in that and we reach out for those kinds of things, please respond. I'll work with you to craft a great alumni appeal letter in your voice. And that really goes a long way. It's a lot stronger than a letter from me, you know, directly, a letter from somebody that an alum doesn't necessarily know. And the other way you can really support the Giving Days particularly is with raising a matching fund. And so that's something either you can do your own, a $5,000 match, $10,000 match, or you could work together with some of your fellow board members to create a match from the board. That helps us spur more donations on Giving Days, where we can say, for instance, on Giving Tuesday, we had a 10 before 10. We had a $10,000 match, and if we made $10,000 before 10 o'clock in the morning, we would get that $10,000 matched. So being able to have funds that we can use that way also really is helpful and supportive. And I'm always happy to answer any questions about giving. If you want to do individual fundraisers, or that's always possible as well, you can just reach out at any time and let us know. And I hope actually to be more involved with board meetings and things like that coming up in the future. So I'll see more of you in real life, and I'll see you at Spring Week, hopefully. Thanks so much.
Kathy, you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to say that, I know at previous days of giving, you guys drafted like a really easy thing to put on your LinkedIn. And I think that I really, really like that. If you guys can continue to do that, just to make sure that we have something that we can easily just post after we give, on the board. That would be really helpful. I think that was really great last time you guys did that.
Great, thank you. Perfect suggestion, and we'll make sure we do that.
All right, any individual questions for Hannah, Charles, or Hayden before we get into a lively discussion? All right, oh, Kathy, oh, sorry, Kelly.
It's not a question, but it's just a comment for those people looking for ways to get involved. So as Charles said, I am the class agent for my class, which didn't start as a governor program. It started in the trustees, but anyway, I volunteered for my class because why wouldn't you volunteer to get the entire class's email addresses and then reach out to your friends and colleagues that you may have lost contact with because you graduated 30 years ago. And that has been so great. And so one of the things that I added to one of my emails in the fall was that I wanted to organize a tour just for my class. And so with Charles's help, I've got that launched. So as I don't know what the turnout's going to be, but several of my classmates said, yes, I want to tour the new building and then have a happy hour with my friends afterwards. So we're going to do that unrelated to spring week. So that's one really easy way to get involved. So just to throw that out there.
Thank you, Kelly. Looking forward to that with your class. Okay, so you've heard about ways to engage. Class agent, spring week, chapter and affinity group, giving days, posting on your social media, plethora of things, the online directory, the wine club. But we're still falling short of it. We still are, I would say, with the governors that we still have about half that are not doing any of those things. And so we just want to know and have a candid conversation. Is there something that we're not seeing? Is there something that we're not doing? Are we asking too much? Do we need to really take a look at the way that the governors are structured? And we really are looking for answers. This is not to say we're doing all this stuff. Why aren't you involved? Like, love me, see me, date me. We're not asking for that. But we're really, you guys are our board. You guys are an advisory board. You guys guide us, and we help to guide you and your reflection of your classes and the alumni base. And so that's what this is. Hannah, do you want to go to the slide? So what are we missing? What are we doing well? And what are you hearing your classmates say? As I said in my opening remarks, we have a chance to form this advisory board however you all best see fit. And we don't want to make the decision. All of the ways to engage have been from suggestions that you all have told us, have told me over the past 5.5 years, but we're still coming up short. And I kind of honestly, selfishly, I just want to know why. Is it, trust me, I recognize, I just got on my first board with the MS Society. I'm officially a board of trustees member, and they asked me to do so much, and I've only been on the board for 1.5 weeks. I mean, it is relentless. And so I'm seeing what it feels like on the other side to be on a board. So is that we're asking too much, that the communication is not streamlined? We think with the, thank you, David, for your suggestion the last meeting, that the portal will be very helpful. But we're really just looking for your guidance and open and honest conversation. I can take it. Hannah, Charles, and Hayden can take it. Julia can take it. I want us to move forward as a board stronger than ever and have a board that is a functional working advisory board. So that's that's my state of the union. I'm ready to hear it.
This is sort of it's not you, it's me comment. And part of the problem is lawyers are busy. And I, even in my semi-retired state, go through periods where I don't have time to read traffic signs. And it happens. It just happens. And so sometimes you send me an email and I'm not going to respond quickly. Sometimes you have to send me a second one, and then sometimes a third one to nudge me, but I just have to get past that moment of crisis when it's all consuming.
Do you mind the third email?
No.
Oh, okay.
Welcome.
No. And we have more questions past this slide, but
I'll speak if there's nobody online. I think that I don't feel like you guys are missing the mark. I serve on lots of boards, and it's always a good amount of people who are just not in it for those reasons, or think that they can commit and they actually can't. So I wouldn't say that you guys are missing the mark. One of the suggestions that you guys might want to do is do more like internal board emails. I don't know what they would necessarily be, or if you want to like showcase somebody on the board. I know some groups do that. Just so that we kind of know each other a little bit more, because we are only getting together 3 times a year. So maybe that's a suggestion, but I don't think you guys are missing the mark. I think that you guys are doing a really, really great job, and that the nature of board service sometimes can just be, and to your point, where that board that asks you a whole lot of stuff, you guys actually don't ask a lot. So then sometimes maybe people feel like, well, I don't know what, where I fit or what to do. And I'm not suggesting to ask us to do anything more, but I'm just saying that's, so there's just kind of that balance, but I don't think you guys are missing the mark.
This is Kelly, for those of you who can't see. That's a really good idea, Kathy. I love the idea of a monthly or so communication, and we can talk about that. Just the board, so not all alumni, but the board, about what are things and what are opportunities to do. I think that could go in our to-do list. I also think I agree with Kathy that you're not missing the mark. I think we're missing the mark, and I think that so I'm not actually sure how long I've been, but I'm at my 8th year anniversary with my new job, and I joined the board before I started that job, so it's been a while. And I think that I also serve on a lot of boards or executive committees and things, and where we do meet more frequently, so there's a little bit more feeling guilty if you're not participating. But as I started the meeting, we did a slimming down of the board, and that was very intentional. I met with Meredith and Hannah and Charles, and we went through and said, okay, these are people who either signed up for the board for the wrong reasons, or signed up for the board and didn't recognize that they were not able to meet their commitments. Because I also agree with Kathy, this board does not require a lot of commitments, but that's gonna change. We're gonna go forward, and at least I'll be the president next year as well. So during those years, we're gonna ask people to commit to at least one project a year. At least. So that is something that I hope will work better for you guys going forward. And if not, you're gonna get a phone call from me, and then after next year, you're gonna get a phone call from Kathy. So, and whoever's up with Kathy. Barbie.
Hi. So last year, the last spring break was my 20th law school reunion, and I tried to reach out to the community of my classmates through Facebook and LinkedIn, and then one-on-one with people that I had a close relationship with. And most often, and I reached out about a month before the events to sort of encourage people to attend if they were in San Francisco, or try to get groups of us who did not live in San Francisco, because I live in Los Angeles, to come into San Francisco. There were great hotel deals that the Alumni Affairs, your team, Meredith, had been able to procure. So the feedback that I got, and it wasn't from the people who were directly I was connected with, but sort of other classmates I'd lost touch with, their alarm was that they never hear from the school except asking for money, but they never hear about the events, or they had no idea this was happening. So I'd say that in that, like, either one, like, outreach can only be as good as the data you have. But also, if they're getting some of the fundraising emails, why are they not, or how are they not accessing the sort of friend-raising emails? And I don't know if that's just selectively things are going into their junk mail, or if it's a different outreach program that you use from the school. But I do think that that was sort of the loudest and most common concern that I heard from people who, who are sort of not in my direct friend group, but outside from that. So that could be like, is it something where we as governors or advisors or class agents, do we do one-on-one outreach to students, to alums on our list? Or is it some sort of other type of outreach?
Thank you for that, Barbie. And I do want to say, because of Barbie, last year for her 20th class reunion, we had jazz brunch set up as only milestone reunions. And Barbie is the reason that this year, everyone, all reunion celebrators are invited to jazz brunch, because her class said 20 years is a lot to us. And we thought, when we looked at the data, people were only coming to their reunion based on 5, 10, 25, and 50 years. But we're not even looking at, who cares about data? Barbie's class said, we want to come to jazz brunch. And we said, great. So that's the kind of feedback that we're looking for. Barbie, you bring up something that is the most perplexing things to me. And I wish I knew the answer. So for example, you gave us the feedback last year that people didn't know about Spring Week. Well, we send a postcard, we send an invitation, we do posts on social media, we post on our online network, we tell our class agents, and we send emails. And Julia met with somebody in New York who had no idea about his reunion. And so I think the adage is that you have to tell somebody 6 times. Well, I think we're at maybe like 8 times in different formats, and I cannot figure out the secret sauce. So if anybody has any insight to that, please let us know. We really are trying our best. And we are also, with the new database system that Hayden kind of talked about, that will help us. We've really invested a lot of money in that, but we cannot figure it out. Kelly has the answer. Tell me.
I do not have the answer. I have a question. I have a question.
Okay.
So do we have an email that goes out to all alumni?
Yes.
Like how often?
About Spring Week or?
No.
The monthly newsletter goes out every month to all alumni. We got feedback on sending all alumni emails in general, so we try not to. Hayden does send his communication and fundraising materials out to all alumni in the mail and online. But besides that, maybe it's David's messages, we do all alumni, but that's about it. And we have about 13,000, Hayden, is that correct? Emails. We have about 13,000, and that's certainly something that we can work on, but very candidly, I cannot get how to get recent graduates to open their emails. It is the plaguing thought that I have. I don't know how to solve that one, but they historically do not open their emails.
And Kelly, just to clarify, because it's still an outstanding question, all alumni that we have emails for that have not unsubscribed do get a monthly email newsletter.
Yeah.
Just about the school and about things that are alumni events.
We have the typical format for it is like 3 stories that the school has published. So something about a center did something big, or some professor did something, someone became a judge. And then we have the Alumni Association section, which has any events that are coming up or Alumni Association initiatives like the sweatshirt drive or things like that, or the wine club. Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is.
Me neither.
Thing we have talked about is a mail newsletter as well. Trying that again once a year or something.
We also have the magazine, send that out. We spent pretty penny on that, and then people still didn't read the magazine or they didn't get it. So I don't, yeah, I'm at a loss. I see Jerome Handel, and I also see Jack, who has been a board member honorary for the past 4 years now, and Jack
Yeah, he
walking.
used one of my board meetings as president. He you could see his head as a newborn.
I
Now
remember.
you can see his head because he decides he wants to be on TV all the time. Uh, so one thing I'm gonna say, Meredith, you asked the question, what should we be doing? I'm gonna give you guys some flowers. I'm going to say the fact that you, Charles, and Meredith, and Hannah, and everyone have been here a good amount of time gives you the perspective and institutional memory to actually ask that question. I would say that like certainly many of us on this board can remember a time where the average length of time we would encounter someone working with the alumni office was probably just 2 or 3 years at most. So I'm glad that we now have staff with the institutional memory to look at, whoa, this is what we were doing 5, 6 years ago, and it's a little not as good now. What can we do to get back to that? By the same token, I would say if you compare us to where we were, say, 8, 9, 10 years ago, a decade ago, we also didn't have as many active alumni chapters in different areas. And I do think, maybe some of that engagement that would come from Board of Governors events where sometimes alumni would in the area would just get invited to those to participate happenstance, and that would be their one Hastings event a year if they lived in LA or if they lived in San Diego, or even if they lived in the Bay Area, now have other events they can go to instead. So that could be where some of it is that some of it's just a little more diffuse than it used to be. And with that, Jack and I are gonna mute ourselves. But that's just my one take is that I would say that some of the participation could be diffuse as opposed to less concentrated. But we want to be a good board and encourage more participation for sure.
Thank you, Jerome and Jack. Please come to the next meeting in person. I have a 6-year-old who you can play with. Carol Hamilton. You're doing great. I really believe in you. You're still on mute.
You're muted, Carol.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I would just say, first of all, don't let discouragement bog you down. I had a very brief moment in my life when someone talked me into doing development at Loyola University. So I experienced some of what you're talking about. And one thing, and I don't know the extent to which this is possible, but trying to, and look, it may not be all that possible because of the time involved to do this, but it does work to some extent, which is if you can try to set up meetings with people, which of course requires a lot of energy because you have to get through to the people. And my first question is, and I do apologize. I don't know if it's my sound or what. I was getting such an echo that I missed a lot of what was being said. So I'm sorry if you already said this and I didn't get it. I finally put on headphones and that would help a little bit. But do you call people or do you just email and text?
When I first started, we did calling campaigns, and after I looked at it and looked at the money that we spent versus what we were getting, we got a lot of pledge donations, but those were lies. They never followed through, to be quite honest.
I'm sorry. I'm going to put on headphones. I'm getting such an echo that I cannot really understand. Hang on. I'm going to put on headphones because I think you said that you call. Hang on. I'm putting headphones on. Sorry. See if this is any better. So did you say that you do call or you don't call?
We don't call anymore. We used to do calling campaigns.
Yeah.
Something that Julia talked about at the end of the year last year was for us to call, lapsed donors. That was something that we had talked about.
Yeah.
And it's something that the Board of Trustees Plan Giving Committee does when they have Legacy Society events or we have Spring Week. They have a committee, I think of about 7 or 8 people, and they split up lists and they call, and they have great success. It's been,
Yeah,
great success.
that's what I'm saying. I think, first of all, people are so overwhelmed with all the emails and texts that they get from that they have to respond to for work, to say nothing of family things and such. And that and besides which, there's also automatic spam filters, which also makes it difficult for maybe your emails to be getting through to people. That I don't know how you get around, if you even can get around it. And so I really think maybe one strategy might be to start picking a group of people. I mean, I don't know how you would select them, but maybe looking, they have these programs where, most likely donors or whatever. I assume you're using those programs. And somehow selecting a group of donors, or pardon me, of alums, pardon me, that you have a calling campaign, that you actually set aside the time. Because honestly, this is just my own personal experience. Calling, and I'm not saying you can always get through calling, but often it's easier to get through calling than it is by email or text, just because of the numbers of emails and texts that people get. And if they're getting it from a school, that's not high on the list of priority probably to respond to, or to even read. So that would be a suggestion that I would have, if you can find the time to do it.
We got time, Carol, if it means that we can engage our alumni, if that's the way to meet them where they are. I recognize that the world we live in is noisy, and my goal is to try to break through the noise. But right now it's like on a 12, so we'll try calling. Christina Turplin.
Hi. So my comment is, I think that the way that people communicate is really different in different generations. And so thinking a little bit about that, because I think I feel like phone call, no, I don't even pick up the phone if there's a call on my cell phone and I don't recognize that number. And then the idea of responding back to a voicemail, I think that's there's these hurdles, right, of getting in touch with people. And I know with mass emails, I'm so inundated on emails that it's really hard to get my attention on that. And sometimes they go through my junk mail. But what about through LinkedIn? I know that you get you guys will post stuff, but what about direct messaging through LinkedIn to people, or through other forms of a business? I think that's probably the main business social media, but is that something that you guys are doing?
No, it's not, and I will be more than happy to add that. We obviously have our social media channels, but if sliding into the DM is the way to get people to hear me, great, we'll do that. Great suggestion.
And I was just gonna say, Mary, from the calling perspective from Carol, one thing that we have talked a little bit about that we could try is doing some calling to people 0s and 5s this year for Spring Week, where it is their reunion year, and really just saying, hope you know about this, and see if it drives any attendance, which is something you all can help us with as well if you're interested, for class agents.
I think you could also even have current students call, do a work study situation, and then they could be like, hey, I'm a current student, I'm excited to meet alumni at this event, I'll be there. Even if they leave a voicemail, I don't answer my phone either, but I'll listen to a voicemail and check out our website, or we have this coming up, and I'll be interested in it.
Consider it done. Yes, we're sending emails. Some people get it. I don't think we send too many emails. We really cut that down. Next slide. Kind of talked about it. I really want to see y'all at Spring Week. And that's what I really want to see. It is the impetus of Spring Week is to have fun and to create tradition. And that's something, you know, I'm a big football fan, big SEC school football fan, and we don't have tradition like the big schools do. And Spring Week is an ode. Charles and I talked about the very first week I met him, that we want tradition. And we think that in our 14 events that we've built something that's very special. And maybe it's that I just want y'all to see it because we're so proud of it. But that's it. I want you to look at Spring Week as the new era of alumni engagement and alumni relations. So join us. I mean, even if it's just virtually for the town hall, getting to see the governors at our events really speaks highly of our engagement and also your leadership as board members.
I'll make a pitch for Spring Week. I mean, don't even come because you're governors, but come because it actually is fun. Like us as staff members, probably the most exhausting week of the year for me, but even we have fun. We didn't even go to UC Law. So really, really highly recommend that you all attend and would love to see you there.
So I'm looking at the email now. So there's the virtual town hall, but that's virtual. There's not going to be an in-person component. That's awesome.
Correct.
And then the raising is just the day of giving. So that's not really an event. And then the tour and the party at City Hall, which is amazing. Then there's the brunch, but it's only for 5 and 10s.
Yes.
And the Giants game.
Yes, we've partnered with quite a few of our campus partners. So on Friday, is going to be an event called the Ripples Art Show. I don't think that's the official name, but it's all of the artists that have paintings or artwork in all of our buildings, and they're going to come and showcase their artwork, stand by it. And that's from 3 to 5 on Friday. And there'll be food and wine. We also, since we are partnering with, I don't remember what department Jared is in, like events or, yeah. It's our overall events team. We are gonna have our fall shipment wine person there to do a free wine tasting for anybody that comes. So that's really exciting. And we also we want to partner with people on campus to showcase what they're passionate about in conjunction with Spring Week, because we want it to be, you know how on wedding weekends, there's a list of things to do and you can engage, and if you're going to travel, you want to connect. That's how we see Spring Week. We want you guys to come back to campus and have a lot to do. Homecoming, yeah, like at your undergrad. We also are Mario Lopez, who is a governor. He is thinking about having a first generation summit on Friday. So everyone that comes back to campus for their first gen summit will be invited to City Hall to come celebrate with us. Things that are not on there, Kelly, we're gonna have the pop-up shop at Squad on Thursday as part of raising the bar. So we're gonna engage with students that way and have our pop-up shop. What's on the website are the main events, but we have a lot of things going on that week. Because we're really trying to reach all the communities and be thoughtful about how we engage students, because we recognize it's a week before reading week and exams and things like that.
The Ripples Art Show, maybe to be renamed, is that a ticketed event? Does that cost?
It doesn't cost anything. We're gonna send it out closer to the date, more information about it. Jared Augustus, who's part of the events team, is working on the flyer, and then we'll send it to everybody.
Because I do think if there are more activities than are in the email that that's my email is dated 31st, so just a week ago. But that could be a call too, especially for people from out of town, because to come into town or the city hall or the baseball game, sorry. Those are the two event events. Yeah.
And you're correct. And those are all of the ticketed events, things you pay for and that come from our office, but we are partnering with a lot of other people to get things going for spring week. Barbie, questions?
Yes, so I want to piggyback on what Jerome put in the chat. He wrote that each new governor paired with a buddy old governor could be a good idea. And also 1 or 2 social events for governors outside of the meeting weekends or piggybacking on campus events already happening. So I think those are great ideas. I also wanted to say, like this year, I've gone to Spring Week, oh my gosh, the past 2 or 3 times, and I've loved it. And I can't go this year because I'm touring colleges with my daughter, but I do plan on buying a ticket for a student to be able to attend. So I really want to encourage governors who might not be able to go in person to donate a ticket. I also wanted to see whether or not, because of the fires that happened in LA and also what's happening in the federal government and people who may be impacted by that, are there reduced rates for certain events depending on your profession or your financial situation? But also, are there sort of leadership events? So those who are either governors or trustees, are there certain sort of like VIP events for those that are attending?
Talk about, there is gonna be, an invitation has not gone out for this yet, but the governors and the trustees are invited to the chancellor's reception, which is gonna be at City Hall, but before the City Hall event. They will need to purchase a City Hall event ticket, but they'll be invited to the pre-thing, which will be with Steve Fageman, and there will be a toast and stuff. So that is one VIP event that I know of that week. Yeah,
Discounted tickets.
and then as far as discounted tickets, we don't have that right now. We are in February doing 20% off for everyone as an early bird rate. But in terms of discounted tickets for giving the mic to Meredith.
To answer your question, Barbie, we don't have discounted tickets. However, the tickets are very, very, very subsidized. The goal of Spring Week and all of the events we do is not to make money. Hi Jack, thank you for the heart. That's our goal is not to make money. It is to really, it's about engagement. And so, for example, the Giants ticket is about $150 for Triples Alley and for the whole experience. And we sell the ticket for $80 for recent graduates and $100 for alumni. So very subsidized. So does that answer your question, Barbie?
It does. I just know that sometimes for people who are in a more difficult financial space, like they won't even consider attending events because they feel like it's kind of outside of their budget. So I don't know if there's a way for you to let those in those spaces know these are heavily discounted, or if there's also like a gift a ticket for students, if there's a gift a ticket for financially stuck alums.
Absolutely. I think that if we wanted to do a subsidized or a ticket for people affected by the fires or the public sector area, certainly happy to have that discussion. We want for all of our events, anything that we do, not just Spring Week, to be accessible to everyone. And so if you all know of people who are not coming to events because the cost is the barrier, talk to me. I can make that happen. We want engagement. That's the purpose of this board. That's the mission of what we do. Because if you can't engage, then you don't have pride, and you can't instill, a sense of your alma mater and being proud of it. So engagement is the first stepping stone to getting people re-engaged or continue their engagement. Kelly, did you have something?
Just two things along the lines that Barbie was suggesting. You could probably even just say something like that in the emails, like we don't want financial cost to be a consideration. If so, email here. And so then you're not offering to everybody a discount, but if somebody needs a discount, they can confidentially ask for one.
Absolutely. We can add that to the emails. The only thing that I would just push back, I think the Giants tickets are not something that we can offer, uh, subsidized discounted rate because it's a ticket that, we need to make happen. But all other things, I'm in. Great suggestion.
And then the second thing was also along the same line of costs for people who might even not want to reach out is that in the emails to, like, once you get the finalized details for the Ripples Art Show, for example, like that sounds to specify free in the actual email, but like you can register for events that won't cost you anything, but just give you the opportunity to, or the like right now it says exclusive tours that I assume is free.
Yes.
But so I think the email should say free,
Okay,
right on the email.
we can make that happen. Great suggestion.
That might get people to sign up even for that one event, even if they're not doing the party or the baseball game.
Done and done. All right, we have 15 minutes. The last slide is about board meetings. This is really where my State of the Union hits its peak. I so appreciate everyone's schedule. I love how busy you are. That means you're important, you're doing great work, and I appreciate your time, your talent, and the treasure that you give us. However, when we do things like a San Diego, we call it our away game board meetings. And we have not a huge turnout. My question is, are we spending so much time, Hannah and Charles, Julia, are we spending so much time and resources trying to make it happen when it's not important? I know that the governors are important and showing up is important, but if y'all are, I think there's 6 governors here. If there's 6 governors out of 29, we want to know wholeheartedly, should we still continue to use our resources and our time to make this happen if it would be better to be virtual? And I'm not suggesting that all meetings be virtual, but candidly, spending a few $1,000s and the Charles and Hannah's time, we want to know, is it worth it for you all to come down here and fly and be with us? Or should we just do it virtually and you guys, we can see you when we see you. We want to know. Jerome or Jack?
I will actually tell you, until this week when a very not fun respiratory infection I've been battling for the past few weeks, and no, the respiratory infection is not Jack. Although I may have gotten it from him. I was gonna come down to San Diego, so you would have had 7 there. My one thought or piece of advice about the away game ones, and this probably goes back a little before some of your times, is I remember prior versions of them would only happen if there were a member of the board of governors and sometimes of the board of trustees who was basically like UC Hastings staff. We have the venue for the Friday night reception reserved. We just, we'll need the deposit or whatever. And we know exactly where the meetings are going to take place the next day. You guys don't have to research, do anything like that. We just want you to show up and maybe use some institutional willpower to get us a block of rooms or something like that through the UC system. That was usually the prerequisites to having these away meetings. So they would sometimes only happen once every other year as opposed to annually. So I don't think returning to that model would be a bad thing. And I know that puts the onus on, an alumnus maybe in the San Diego area or the LA area next time to come up with a space and venue. But I don't think that's a bad thing. And it's, it could count as a project, certainly, them being a host along with someone from the Board of Trustees. We have a beautiful campus now, so I think showcasing that as much as possible and encouraging people to come back to visit isn't a bad thing.
that, Drew. I do just want to say, yeah, do you good, Jack? Okay. I do want to say that Charles worked directly with Ray Gallenberg, who is an alum here and is the general counsel for
Yes.
Stone, and he gave us a tremendous discount for the event held last night and then events today. So this away game was certainly subsidized a lot. But I think the bigger question is we want to know, we so appreciate everyone's schedule and everyone traveling, but are away games worth it to y'all? The two of you, you've traveled down, you're at almost every single meeting. It never goes unnoticed. But what has happened here today? Was it worth you traveling? Would it have been better to be virtual? Just looking for a candid, honest response.
I don't know that it would have been better to be virtual. I think this is better. Is it worth it for like the amount of resources you guys put into it for like 6 people to be here? Maybe not at the end of anything. Like I love seeing people in person, but like at the end of the day, like would we have been as productive as the meeting? Probably.
Kelly, Carol.
Well, no, let Carol.
Carol.
Yes, hi. First of all, I just want to say I have never had such a difficult time with sound. I don't know, maybe something's going on with my computer, but so I'm missing probably a good part of what's being said, and I apologize for that. But I have a couple things to say. First of all, I've been on the board for several years now, and this meeting is the first time in the South that I can remember, at least, where there've been so few attendees. We were in Long Beach, a year ago or a year and a half ago or something. And as I recall, there were, a fairly significant number there. I don't know how many. Years before, I remember, we would have the Palm Springs meetings. There would always be a good attendance there. I don't remember what the meeting was in the South before Long Beach, honestly. Was it? Oh, it was in LA, I think, at a law firm.
It was in Beverly Hills.
It was it was in LA. Yeah, it was in Century City, I think, at a law firm. And that was, I think that was fairly well attended. Again, you all would know better, but maybe not well enough for your efforts. That I couldn't tell you. But well, okay, I'll speak for myself personally. I actually was not only was I looking forward to attending the San Diego event, but I encouraged our new member, John, who is seated at the table, who I had recruited to become
last night. Love is here.
Yeah, who I am so grateful. I recruited him to become a member of the board, and here I am. I'm MIA. I'm not there. I fully intended to be there, and only 4 days ago did something come up for this morning that went until 12:45 that I just absolutely had to be at, which was completely unexpected. So had that not happened, I personally would have been there. I don't know about the other people who normally attend from the South. I don't know. But, obviously, if this is the turnout you're going to be getting, it's not worth it, no question. But it just seems to me in my memory that the turnouts were pretty good, I thought, in the past. Then I wanted to say one second thing, which is sort of related, but sort of unrelated, which is this. I'm on a lot of boards, and I've learned, I guess board members in these other boards have learned over the years, because initially with COVID, we had no choice. We had to meet remotely. There was no choice. We had to. Then before even we could really all personally come together, and there were different time frames when different boards decided that it was okay to come together. Even before we were able to do that, we started in those various boards to realize how important it is to have in-person meetings. And that doesn't mean every meeting, but I really think you all should think about requiring, these other boards I'm on require it. You have to show up for, depending on the board, at least, and this is like they're in Washington, DC. It's not necessarily convenient for people. But, if you're going to be on the board, you're expected at least for, let's say, 2 meetings a year, whatever, to show up in person. And it's so important for so many reasons. One of which is getting to know one another in a way that you can't really get to know one another remotely, which encourages more participation among the board members. So I think it would be a really good idea to just, brainstorm this among yourselves and make a decision about whether or not you think that this is just going to put people off, or maybe really be helpful in the thinking long term for the involvement of board members. Because my experience with these other boards that require that is, first of all, it's made all the difference in what was being accomplished, number one. And secondly, it's made it much more enjoyable for people, even though it's a hassle, you have to fly places. But once you get there, it's worthwhile. And I think it enriches the experience of the board members, and I think it really enhances the contributions that people are able to make, and the board or the institution benefits so much from it. So I wanted to just add that to my thoughts.
Thank you, Carol. And I want to be cognizant of the time. It's 3:27. Kelly's going to have the last word, and then we'll wrap up. But I would love, and I'm not just sitting lip service, I would love to have conversation with any of you. Coffee, wine, virtual, kombucha, whatever your vice is. That's my vice too. So let's have conversation. You all, I was laughing with Kathy last night about TikTok and about Mel Robbins and about all the things. And I know that the world is noisy, but getting to connect with Kathy about Mel Robbins and the let them theory was a highlight for me. And if you don't know about Mel Robbins and the let them theory, I highly encourage you to get to know about it. But and I recognize everyone's busy, but I love connecting with you guys in person. That is why this job is so incredible. It's not a job. I know we're in alumni relations, but it's really about human relations. It's about connecting with you guys. So we want to find a way to meet you where you are. And if that means one meeting a year that you have to come to, that's fine. We get to define what this looks like in our next chapter. Kelly, I'm going to hand it over to you to end this and any questions you have.
Thank you. And I have no hesitation keeping y'all an extra 5 minutes. So I really have a question first, because Julia, you introduced David as actually asking for our feedback. And so I don't know, for those of you who were online who got to hear David's talk, but one of the things that I think is so valuable about our in-person meetings, well, a couple of things, but one is the cross with the trustees. And so I guess my question is that, do we really have the flexibility to set our own schedules? Because aren't our meetings always with the board of trustees, and they meet in person every time?
We do, absolutely. Now that we've tried out, and I think it really worked for David talking at lunchtime, that we absolutely have that flexibility. That was the big part. And I think also Valeria could do hers at lunchtime, so there's not a crossover and she doesn't have to spend all day with us. I know you love it, but let's, respect her time. But we have the opportunity to do a lot. I mean, we're making up the rules and the guidelines. So if that is something, if we don't want to have it at 1 to 3:30, then let's talk about a different schedule.
Okay, so my take on it is, I cannot emphasize enough how important I think the in-person meetings are. And before we came here this morning, I was thinking, gosh, I wish all three of our meetings, we only meet 3 times a year. I wish our third meeting was also in person. I'm indifferent to whether or not we do all of our meetings in the city on campus. And if that would make it easier for you guys, then by all means, I'm in favor of that. But I just want to give one example. I met David through a different committee. And the first time I met him in person was at a board meeting here on this committee. So because we met during COVID times, and so we met online for the first time. In this other committee. So I just, to me, we're a small board. We're 29 people plus our staff, and meeting in person is very important to me, personally. I don't think it's that big of a commitment, and I love that we can now allow people to also participate on Zoom if they can't, if they can't come in person, but I also think, I just don't want you guys to have to work too much, but by meeting in person for this away game, going to the reception last night was so much fun. I mean, the people, also, not just the trustees, but I think I spent most of my time, other than talking to people I already knew, talking to SFO of the chapter alumni, people who are not involved on either board. So that was a really great opportunity too. So so I guess I'm not saying I don't where I fall on this, and I think it really depends on how much true work it is for you all, but I really like the in-person meetings, whether they're away or at home. Okay, so I am going to wrap up the meeting, because we are now 2 minutes past, and thank you all for staying. Does anybody have any questions, or anything that they want to say? We will be, when we get the post-meeting materials, I think people should take that opportunity. Are they coming from you, Hannah? I think people should take that opportunity to provide feedback to Hannah and Meredith and Charles on this specific question, or any other question, any other thing. Provide it confidentially, just send it to them. And then we can digest it and discuss it at our next meeting, which is Saturday, June 14th. It is virtual. Anything else?
That's right.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Is there a second? Do we need to do that? Second? Okay, everybody. Thank you for those who attended. We're sorry we missed those of you who, Jerome and Carol in particular, who were planning to come in person but couldn't do it. And hope to see you guys again soon. All right, thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.